everyone, welcome to Inside Politics. I'm Anastasiya Lavrina. On April 18, Azerbaijan's Foreign Minister Ceyhun Bayramov participated in the informal meeting of the Council of Foreign Ministers of the Organization of Turkic States held within the framework of the Antalya Diplomacy Forum. While such meetings may appear diplomatic routine on the surface, the broader context tells us a much bigger story. The Organization of Turkic States is steadily gaining weight at a time when the international system is under growing strain. From war in the Middle East and continued instability in Eastern Europe to disrupted trade routes and intensifying competition across Eurasia, the global order is becoming more fragmented and unpredictable. In this environment, regional alliances and strategic grouping are becoming increasingly important. That's where the organization enters the picture. What began primarily as a platform rooted in common language, culture, and historical ties is now evolving into something far more consequential. Today, the organization is increasingly associated with transport connectivity, energy cooperation, investment flows, diplomatic coordination, and the strategic geography linking Central Asia, South Caucasus, Türkiye, and Europe. Azerbaijan has played a particularly active role in this transformation. Positioned at the crossroads of regions and resources, Baku has emerged as a key advocate of deeper Turkic cooperation, politically, economically, and strategically. With Türkiye expected to take over the chairmanship later this year, questions are now growing over what next phase of the organization may look like. Today we discuss the future of the Organization of Turkic States, its strategic relevance and the challenges that may define its next chapter. Joining me now is Tuğrul Keskin, Professor, Chinese Institute of Arab States, Nishia University in Almaty, Kazakhstan, and Yaşar Sarı, who is Director of Heydar Aliyev Center for Eurasian Studies, Ibn Haldun University, Istanbul, Turkey. Dear experts, warm welcome to Inside Politics. And Professor Keskin, if you don't mind, let's start with you. My first question. At a time when the world is facing simultaneous crises, it's a conflict in the Middle East, continued war in Europe, in East Europe, trade route insecurity and economic fragmentation. In this environment, how strategically important has the Organization of Turkic States become for its member states?
The recent meeting of the Council of the Foreign Minister of the Organization of Turkic States, held within the framework of the Antalya Diplomacy Forum, reflects deeper transformation, from my understanding, in Eurasian geopolitics, one that goes beyond the symbolic cultural cooperation and moves towards a structured regional coordination. First, we should understand the OTC is no longer merely a platform of shared linguistic and historical identity. It is gradually evolving into a strategic mechanism for political dialogue, economic integration, and infrastructural alignment across Central Asia, the Caucasus, and in the Middle East also. The Antalya setting is particularly, from my perspective, important because it situated Turkic cooperation within broader global diplomatic arena, rather than isolating it as a regional or identity-based project. This meeting in Antalya signals a shift from the reactive to proactive diplomacy among Turkic states. Historically, many of these countries have navigated between larger powers, in Central Asia especially, Russia, China, and the West, United States and European Union. What we are now witnessing is an attempt to build a coordinated agency where the Turkic states are not merely objects of the geopolitical competition, but the subjects shaping regional outcomes.
That's very interesting. Yeah, absolutely. From reactive to proactive, the coordination between the member states of the organization. That's very interesting, and we will definitely come back to this point. But now, Mr. Sari, global supply chains remain under pressure due to instability in the Red Sea, the Strait of Hormuz, the war in the Middle East, and the wider maritime tensions. Has this created a historic opportunity for the Middle Corridor passing through the Organization of Turkic States?
Of course, but let's not forget the war in Gulf region have both negative and positive impact on the Turkic countries. Negative impact because of the international economic system is hurting from the war. For that reason, that have negative impact, especially countries around this region, Türkiye, Azerbaijan, and Turkmenistan. Those countries are the neighboring countries of Iran. But positive impact, what you mentioned about the middle corridor, because of the until this time, there was several different alternative logistic corridor, alternative talk. The one of them is to starting from the India to United Arab Emirates through Saudi Arabia to Mediterranean coast, mainly is the Israel port cities, to Europe, IMEC. That is become impossible. The second thing is to the Gulf region is providing the fossil fuel for the world market, and this because of the closing the Hormuz Strait, the countries in the region who has the abundant natural resources, they are looking for alternative way to exporting their raw materials, oil and the natural gas, basically. So they're building the new pipeline, energy system, as well as the those countries who are connecting to especially Mediterranean countries and the European countries through Gulf. They are looking for the alternative road. Already one alternative road is closed. That is the through Russia, Northern Corridor. And maritime roads become more unstable and problematic. Then the more secure way to connecting to east to west, China to Europe through Central Asia, Azerbaijan and Türkiye. That's giving the more value to middle corridor. And we will see in the future, the European and Chinese will understand this value and make the more investment.
In my understanding, they already take a value of this project, which will benefit not only the countries firstly involved there, but also the Europe itself, having diversified cooperation with China. But coming back to the point raised before by you, Professor Keskin, with instability from Gaza to Iran and wider Middle East tensions, could the Organization of Turkic States eventually develop a stronger role in regional crisis diplomacy?
I mean, it depends on the policies of the OTC. You know, what is the objectives of OTC actually? So it's one of the most weak point of the OTC, negative point of the OTC basically. While the Council of the Foreign Minister of the Organization of the Turkic States is officially framed around cultural cooperation and regional coordination, we need to look more carefully at the Turkey's underlying strategic objectives. In my views, Turkey is increasingly instrumentalizing this platform not primarily for secular, cultural or economic integration, but as a part of the broader ideological project linked to the pan-Islamism. I mean, organization or OTC is officially a secular institution. It should be the secular policies. But Turkey's new foreign policy is slightly different and linked to the Middle East, not to Central Asia. Most of the Central Asian states are secular based. So this might create, tension between secular governance in Central Asia, and more religious situation in the Middle East and in Turkey, actually.
Very interesting point. Will be nice to know your opinion on the same question, Mr. Sari. And one additional question to you. Security cooperation, it indeed remains a sensitive issue. Do you foresee gradual moves toward intelligence sharing, defense industry cooperation, or joint resilience mechanism among member states?
First thing is the first part, Professor Keskin's opinion. I have different point. First thing is Turkey is not pushing the member of the OTS to following the certain religious perspective. You can understand that Turkey and the Turkic state, they have the different interpretation of the Islam, and you can see that one is the Tashkent, Samarkand, Bukhara, and also in Baku too. So in that sense, I'm not fully agree with the Professor Keskin. I think Turkey and the other members see OTS as a platform where they can increase their cooperation, and in a certain level, this cooperation can create a very close relation. That's we can see from the OTS 2040 vision. And that vision has the 8 subtitle, and those subtitle, which is more emphasized on the paper, is the related economy and the people-to-people relation. The second part is related to your question. Actually, President Ilham Aliyev is emphasized. He proposed the member countries to having the joint military exercise of the OTS. So that way, he emphasized the security cooperation among the Turkic state. That level, not all members are eager to go this security cooperation because of some of them are already member of the collective security treaty organization like the Kyrgyzstan and Kazakhstan. But we see that recently, especially those problematic area or when there is a conflict happen, the OTS member countries coming together and discussing and trying to taking a joint position. That is the good sign. We saw that one in 2023. First informal summit of the OTS was related in Afghanistan, about Afghanistan. So this time, the foreign minister met in Antalya. Basically, they discussed what's happening in the Gulf, the war in Gulf, how that war have impact on the member state, and they inquire to having a joint position related to these issues. They already, the all member countries, they want to solve this problem peaceful way. So that way they are ready to a certain level cooperate, and some of them is taking more active role here, and a certain level we can see Azerbaijan.
I guess one of the uniqueness of this organization is the ability of its member states to form a unique approach to the number of global issues and also to what is happening in the region itself. Professor Keskin, Hungary has been one of the most visible European observer states in the Organization of Turkic States. But after recent political changes in Budapest, is there a possibility that Hungary may gradually drift away from the organization?
Depends on the new prime minister's political views, actually. But I cannot, I'm not an expert on Hungary, but from the perspective of the Central Asian states, for example, this is a sensitive issue. In countries like Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan and others, they have strong incentives to maintain political stability, secular governance, and balanced relations between major powers such as China, Russia, and the United States. For them, and over the implicit pan-Islamist turn within the OTC framework could introduce new risks, include internal ideological tensions, like in Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan, plus Kyrgyzstan, tension and external geopolitical fractions, actually. And moreover, this orientation probably a complicated relationship between OTC and broader regional initiatives like China's BRI project, Belt and Road Initiative. And secular pragmatic Turkic cooperation model could complement economic connectivity and regional development. However, if ideological elements, especially those associated with pan-Islamism, became more dominant, as we have seen in Pakistan and India case actually, in Afghanistan, and Turkey's relation with the Soviet, and this could generate concern about instability, particularly from the actors like China, Russia, and the United States that prioritize security and control over the transnational religious movements.
Mr. Sari, absolutely. The course Hungary may follow in the upcoming months and years will depend after the formation of all of those domestic institutions and the appointments which will happen in the upcoming months after the elections completed in Hungary. But if Hungary becomes less active, will that be mostly symbolic, or would it weaken the Organization of Turkic States outreach into Europe, as until now Hungary was considered as a gate, as a window to Europe for the organization?
I mean, the Magyar who won the election, of course, he already declared that his priority is the European Union. So he will try to fix Hungary's relation with the Europe. But he's also pragmatic and the rational person. I mean, in that sense, I'm sure that he will try to keep the good relation with the Turkic world. So, of course, not like Orban. Orban has the personal approach and the personal cooperation or personal relation with the leaders of the Turkic world. Magyar may not have that kind of relation, but he will keep the institutional relation. One reason is that there is a positive benefit. I mean, the benefit for the Hungary to continue its close relation with the Turkic world. This is the economic one, and the second one is this is giving the leverage to Hungary when they are dealing with the other issues and the position. And Hungary is the small country in middle of the Europe. To keep its position and extend its influence, need to have the close cooperation with the external actors. One of the close actors could be the Turkic world. But as I mentioned at the beginning, this cooperation level may not as close as the Orban time.
Professor Keskin, discussing the situation in the South Caucasus as a significant part of this organization Azerbaijan is, how significantly could the opening of the Zangezur corridor, which will connect Azerbaijan with its exclave Nakhichevan Autonomous Republic through Armenia, boost the Organization of Turkic States by creating uninterrupted connectivity between Turkey, Azerbaijan, and Central Asia? And could it become one of the most transformative strategic projects in the Turkic world?
I mean, from the political economy perspective, the most critical dimension of the OTC cooperation lies in the connectivity. Transport corridors, energy routes, and digital infrastructure are becoming central in this corridor, and including in the Caucasus between Azerbaijan and Armenia and Georgia. I mean, in this sense, the OTC intersect with broader initiatives such as BRI, China's BRI, Belt and Road Initiative. However, rather than competing with this framework between the states, rational and secular form of the Turkic cooperation, including the Armenia, including the Georgia, can complement, including the Azerbaijan, can complement them, enhancing regional stability and economic interdependence. I mean, on the other hand, we should avoid romanticizing this process. These are structural limitations. There are structural limitations. I mean, different national interests, varying political regimes, asymmetrics in economic capacity, and moreover, external pressures from the global powers, from the United States, China, and the West, basically Europe and the United States, will continue to shape the boundaries of what OTC can realistically achieve. Therefore, the organization's success will depend on less on ideological narratives and more on pragmatic and institutionalized cooperation. And in broader sense, intellectual sense, OTC represents important case for rethinking international relations beyond Eurocentric frameworks. And it challenges us to consider how non-Western regional format in Caucasus, in Middle East, and in Central Asia, and East Asia. It challenges to consider how non-Western regional frameworks emerge, operate, negotiate, part in multipolar world action. So, but the key question is, will Organization of the Turkic States evolve into pragmatic secular platform for regional corporations from Xi'an to Turkey, to Azerbaijan, Turkey, and Europe for regional cooperation, or will it increasingly reflect Turkey's ideological ambitions? The answer to that question will determine whether OTC contributes to regional stability from Central Asia to Caucasus, Turkey, and Europe, and introduce new layers of the geopolitical and ideological complexity to our region, and including the Central Asia, Caucasus, and Turkey.
Well, Mr. Sari, if in continuation to what we have just discussed, the opening of Zangezur corridor and overall the changes we see in the region of the South Caucasus, if Armenia succeeds in normalizing relations with both Azerbaijan and Türkiye, reopening borders and transport links after decades of closure, how transformative could this be for Yerevan economically and strategically in terms of ending regional isolation, attracting investment, joining emerging east-west trade corridors, and potentially giving an additional boost to the Organization of Turkic States through a more stable South Caucasus?
I mean, for the Armenian is the very important, very sensitive issue. The reason is Armenia is squeezed between the Turkey and Azerbaijan and had close relation with the Iran, but Iran is under the sanction and all kind of embargo. So the only way to Armenia to reaching the international market and through either Azerbaijan and Turkey. For that reason, the opening to borders and the trade relations already started at a certain level, but especially opening border with Turkey and having the economic relation and passing these corridors will make the Armenia valuable actor in the region, as well as economically, Armenia will take the better position and give the chance to integrate to international economic system. For that reason, this is the even though Armenia will have election, even Pashinyan lose the election, the others cannot change this one. So if they want to have make the Armenia to integrate the international economic system, they need to continue cooperation both with the Azerbaijan and the Türkiye. That's the only chance they have. And the American involving in this process means that the building of course, right now we don't say the Zangezur corridor, we say that Trump or trip Trump international
No, this is
peace
still
and
the Zangezur
prosperity
corridor, but it's also being called as a trade corridor specifically
Yeah.
in Washington in the United States, but it still keeps its name as a Zangezur corridor.
Of course. We are saying the Zangezur corridor, but Trump grabbed the opportunity and make the American companies and the United States government involving the process. So because of the American involvement, giving the increase the importance of this corridor too. I mean, already this corridor is connecting Turkic Gulf, Azerbaijan to Türkiye, of course, already Nahchivan also. So this is giving the more better chance the Armenia to be part of the international economic system.
Well, dear expert, thank you so much for your valuable comments. Unfortunately, we are running out of time, but I'm more than sure that we will definitely come back to this question specifically because Turkey is expected to assume the chairmanship of the Organization of Turkic States later this year. Thank you so much.
Thank you for inviting us.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Well, the Organization of Turkic States is no longer only a platform of shared history, language, and identity. It's increasingly becoming a structure shaped by strategic geography, trade corridors, energy cooperation, and political coordination in a rapidly changing world. My sincere thanks to our distinguished guests, Professor Tuğrul Keskin and Yaşar Sarı, for their valuable insights and thoughtful analysis. And I thank you, our viewers, for joining us on Inside Politics. Stay with A News, and I see you next time.